So, notifications, yay! Woo! Yeah, the title of the talk is "You Will Love Notifications in 2.4," and that's an ambitious title, but it is in fact our ambition to make you love notifications. And I know the ambition is insanely high. I mean, making anyone love any notifications, that is quite an undertaking. And the main reason for this is that too many notifications, which leads to the biggest issues with them, alarm fatigue. This is the developed tolerance and ignorance towards notification. I mean, the really amazing thing about Checkmk is that we are so incredibly powerful in reducing that alarm fatigue. It's so great. We give you literally all of the tools. Take a look at that huge list with all of the setup, host monitoring rules, service monitoring rules, other services, and we didn't even list all of the global settings. We give you all of the tools that you need to optimize, troubleshoot, and set up your notifications. But we also know that we are not making it easy for you to use them. Without going into too much details, these are just two examples of forum posts and a support ticket where users are struggling with notifications. What I've learned from the last 2 days, that's an experience we all share one time or the other. And that's why we want to improve the notification, so that in the future it will be a breeze for you to work with them. Our goal for the project is simple, yet ambitious. We want to make configuring, troubleshooting, and optimizing notifications easy. So in the end, that you will truly love Checkmk notifications. So let's take a look. A new way to configure notifications. A small disclaimer before we dive in. The following concepts are a collection of ideas. We're still in a very early stage with all of that. And this unfortunately also means that probably not everything of that may make it into the 2.4. But enough details about that. Let's go and take a look. As you can see, it's not fancy in our dark theme. It's really just a little sketch. To make getting started with notifications as easy as possible, we are going to utilize the multi-step workflow that Punk just presented. This provides guidance that fits your specific use case without being restrictive. So we are keeping the functionality, but we're making it simple to use. And just like the workflow, I will now walk you through the 5 steps that will help you lay the foundation for a manageable and scalable notification system. First, let's define which events should actually trigger a notification. We will provide reasonable defaults for you that focus on actionable events, so status changes. Ideally, you won't need to edit anything here, so you can just click on the next step. But with this little add event buttons, you still have all the flexibility you need to add any other event you want. So start, end of downtime, acknowledgement of problems, flapping state on alert handler execution. Now that you have defined the host and service events, in the second step, it's time to specify which hosts and services will actually be affected by this rule. To do this, we encourage you to utilize service levels, those ones. Because service levels are a great way to define the importance of services and hosts, and that's actually exactly what we need for notifications, because we just want to be informed about the important stuff, right? And in addition, of course, you can still use service labels, host tags, and the other conditions in those 2 respective sections. Still all the flexibility you need, just a little nudge into the direction of service levels. And not gonna lie, I'm most excited about this step, step 3. We have been thinking a lot about how to make the notification conditions more transparent and less error-prone, so that it can be edited later without the fear of breaking something. In the end, we designed it as a flow, as you can see here, with a sentence-like structure. And this might be a little bit familiar for you, because we are inspired by the labels filters here. The sentence starts with the most important part. What do you want to do and who do you want to notify? By default, it's all context of the notified object. Wherever it makes sense, we will also add shortcuts like this one to the assign host service to contact groups rule to make it more easier for you to actually set the things up. So as you remember, we had all of the tools in the beginning and we're bringing them closer together so that it's a breeze for you to set it up and to jump around. The next step is how to notify them. Choose the type of notification method you want to use, such as email and Microsoft Teams. And you can also already read something there, select email template. And that's something we want to introduce to make your life even easier when you're configuring multiple notification rules. We hopefully are introducing email templates. They are similar to rules and reports, so you only set them up once and reuse them as often as you want to. You can edit or create templates directly from this configuration via a pop-up window. So no need to go to somewhere else, just do it right where you want to do it. The same is, of course, also for the other notification methods or connections, like, for example, Microsoft Teams. Just set it up once and reuse it, so you don't have to set it up every single time when you're creating a new rule. Let's head back to the third step, and because last but not least, you can add additional conditions for the notifications to be sent. As you remember from the notification configuration, there's this huge list of conditions, and we want to make it as easy as possible for you. So with that thing, you can then configure the conditions such as time period or number of notifications. With the Add to Query buttons, you can add additional elements to the notification flow, making it more complex and fitting for your specific use case. So let's take a quick look how this could be, and it could be like this. So it could read out, notify contact group all, and send every 5th notification via email template 1. If time is time period 24 times 7 always, a number of notification is between 5 and 100. So the goal is to make it easier for you to understand what conditions are actually here in place. When it comes to reducing notification noise, bulking is one of the most effective tools. It combines successive notifications for the same contact into one single notification. If you have selected a compatible notification method, the 4th step will help you set up bulk notifications. First, select the basis for the bulk, such as the same host or the same service description. Next, define the time frame to collect those bulk notifications. And then define the maximum number of combined notifications per bulk. And lastly, the subject, which you can also reset to the default. So quite easy. And then there's only one step left, kind of a little review and adding some additional rule properties to make sure that you recognize that rule in the table in the end. So just simply enter a description. There are some settings, for example, if you want to allow your users to disable this notification. And then lastly, you only have to confirm the dialog or the workflow, and you can do this with the apply and test notifications buttons. This will bring you probably directly to the newly introduced test notifications dialog. So this way you can ensure that your configuration is actually working as intended. Now you're ready to receive your notifications. And to make this experience of receiving notifications more enjoyable, we are also working on updating the notification methods. After all, 80% of you are using Checkmk email notifications. Is this true? Do you truly use the Checkmk email notifications? Maybe a small hand raise? Yes, that looks about right. So you know this email notification, right? It's a rather classical look, gives a little bit Windows 95, and we decided that email notification needs a little bit more love. So we decided to redesign it. We want to make it more focused and give you the most important information at a glance, right on top. We are introducing a modern look and feel with finally including the not-so-new graphs. Also, the new email notifications have improved traceability, as we now include the notification rule that triggered this specific notification. And to round out the content, we also added contact groups and service labels, making it even more informational. But of course, there's more to notifications than only emails. That's why we are planning to include major updates for the Microsoft Teams plugin, the Jira plugin, the Ops Genie plugin, the Slack plugin, and the ServiceNow plugin. It is our goal to make the process of configuring, troubleshooting, and optimizing notifications as easy and enjoyable as possible. But the current notification overview page is pretty limited and focuses a lot on the configuration part. So we believe it is time to rethink the overview page to provide a new home for all things notifications and bringing all the tools closer together. So to get the space we need to do such an overhaul, let's move the test notifications and analyze recent notification actions to separate pages that can be accessed via these two buttons. Then we can add a little table for our new email notification templates. Corresponding to that, we of course need different connections for the other methods. Since you probably have only a few connections set up and don't really care about the rest of them, we'll hide them behind the collapsed more connections and show only the one you care about, so the ones you have configured, at the top. In the middle column, we can add the number of failed notifications so that you can see where the bottlenecks are and go directly to that to see what's up, why are there failed notifications. If we take a look at troubleshooting in general, one of the biggest pitfalls is accidentally turning notifications off via the master control. While we are also looking at the master controls in the sidebar in general, we also want to make the core status of notifications more transparent so that you always know what's going on and can troubleshoot more easily. So let's put that here as well. And maybe you remember yesterday from the talk where someone asked if there's a possibility to turn off notifications for all of the sites. This would be perhaps a perfect place to do something like this. But there's one thing still missing on this overview page: a connection to the other rules that help you optimize your notifications. So let's add that in a list divided into two sections. The first one, monitor, With the handy check, I don't know if many of you know that, because you can actually monitor the number of notifications you get per contact. So we add that rule here. And the second section contains links to rule sets that can help you optimize your notifications, just as the business intelligence or delay host or service notifications. Last but not least, let's keep the global notification rules table here. Not too bad, right? Yes, thank you. I was waiting for that. So to summarize, I mean, there's still a lot of ideas that we have floating around, and talking to you also inspired me a lot. But to summarize, what we want to achieve with the notification rework project is to keep the flexibility and the power, but make it less complicated. We are moving all notification options and rules closer together. We will provide clear and descriptive configuration options. We will include contextual edits, such as time periods during the configuration. And we'll enable you to reuse email notification templates and other connections to make you even more efficient. The title of the talk is You Will Love Notifications in 2.4. So, of course, as UX designer, I want to know from you, what do you actually think about those ideas that I've just presented to you? So, are we generally moving in the right direction with our concepts for the notifications? It's not about the details, they will change for sure. There will be some stuff added, some things will discard, but what we just presented, is this generally the right direction? Oh, I'm very happy that it has the heart emoji. I probably would have cried if it would be the last one, but very happy. That's great. So, I would love to end the talk now, but there's one last thing I want to talk to you about. And that's the notification approach. It's something we are also divided internally about, so I want to quickly walk you through it and see what you think about the topic, because in the end, you are the people who need to use it. If we take a look at it now, our current notification approach follows the simple principle, better more than less. It's basically a block list approach, because by default, we provide one rule which includes all contexts of the notified object and no further conditions. Basically, one rule to notify them all about everything. This comes with a certain risk of spamming and alarm fatigue, as this is exactly the things we want to avoid with the notification rework. It made us think about if this block list approach is really the way to go. So what's the opposite of a block list? It's an allow list. So we kind of looked into it. What would that actually look like? The principle for this would be subscribe to relevant events, hosts, and services. This, of course, implies that there won't be a default rule anymore. So every rule has to be set up intentionally. There's nothing we provide in the beginning, or not a one rule to notify them all in the beginning. In theory, this can avoid that spam and alarm fatigue that we want to avoid. But let's be honest, there's also a certain risk involved with that. It's missing notifications, so that you do not get a notification about something important that you should have gotten one, just because you didn't include it in a condition or something like that. We thought about 3 ways how we could address that. The first would be an extension of the notification analysis to tell you which events were generated and resulted in no notifications. Then the test notifications can also help uncover the gaps in your notification coverage, so we could extend that as well. And last but not least, a lot of you know about this feature, the fallback email address. This, of course, also still exists. So when it's set up, this one is the target for all events, services, and hosts that are not covered by any notification role. So at least in theory, you would still get all of the notifications. In summary, the risk would be manageable. So let's compare the two approaches directly. The Allowlist only notifies about what is defined, whereas the blocklist follows a better more than less principle. Only specified objects, events are actionable or of interest according to the Allowlist. The blocklist implies that everything that is mentioned is important, except for specific objects and events. The risk for the Allowlist is forgetting an object or an event, so you miss notifications you should have gotten. While a blocklist approach risks spamming and alarm fatigue. So both approaches carry some advantages and some manageable risks. In the end, it's about we need to commit to something and then manage the risk accordingly. So take a close look at those two approaches. And I want to know from you now, what do you think? I mean, it's just a brief overview, but what feels more intuitive to you? A blocklist or an Allowlist notification approach? And I'm actually quite surprised that it's such a clear result so far. And I do also get the 14% who don't really care about it and just want to have it work. Okay, so nothing is decided by now. We are still looking into the things. So this is just a first impression for us on what's maybe is the right approach. We will, of course, look deeper into it, what it would mean for everything, probably do some interviews about that as well. So that's also like the add part at the end. We need your feedback to make the redesigned notifications truly thrive. We don't want to have a concept that looks good for us, but is of no use for you. So if you have not already done it, please sign up to the research mailing list, because after the conference, we will soon call for participants for usability testing and further interviews about the Allowlist approach or blocklist approach, and of course test the concepts and get some in-depth feedback from you to that. But if you don't want to wait that long, the coffee break is near, so come by our future fair. We have the concepts with us, so give us your feedback, your ideas, your questions you have about. We are really looking forward to that, because together we can, I believe, make a very great notification system so that you, in the end, will love Checkmk notifications.
Okay, let's jump into the questions. As you know, like, this is still a concept, so every feedback is very valuable for us. We might not have thought about everything because, I mean, Checkmk 2.4 still needs a little bit of time until we are there. We just released Checkmk 2.3, so we have not considered everything, but let's see if you've already thought maybe about it, about custom plugin notifications.
They would only be affected in a positive way. So as I said, we want to keep all the functionality we currently have. We don't want to restrict you in any kind of way, so we will make them work or extend them, depends.
That's, I think, a good question, and I saw that it might be possible, but will it be possible, do you think, that we can configure more than one notification method per rule?
I've not spoken about the technical implications of that yet, so please don't hate me in the back. But in theory, yeah, why not? especially if we think about escalations, so mail only until the 10th notification, afterwards a Microsoft Teams notification. It would be a great way to set that up in the same rules, so you don't have to create 3 different rules for an escalation. So it's not off the table right now, we just have to talk through it from a technical point of view.
Might not be too easy technically, because I mean currently the rules, one notification method, one rule per notification method, we would have to migrate rules then and change stuff. So, but yeah, let's see what the developers say in the end. And as last question before we go into the break, because I mean also Tanya is here in the end, and you can also subscribe to the mailing list for UX, and also always contact Tanya about things. And last thing is about the templates. Can users customize the templates?
This depends, of course, in what way and what are the customized possibilities. But of course, at least the level of customization that's currently allowed for notifications, that should also be allowed. And I truly would love to have a more or freer way to customize, especially email notifications. To be perfectly honest, that's probably nothing we can achieve in a 2.4 from an effort perspective, but I would love to have there more freedom.
Okay, with that, hope this is something you look forward to in the future. This is already one of the outlooks into what we plan for Checkmk 2.4. We'll have a short break now, and after that we actually go into a comprehensive list of what we plan for Checkmk 2.4 and beyond. Thank you, Tanya.